Good evening. Today is May 23rd, 2024, and the time is 6:30 p.m. I will now call the regular meeting of the District 191 Board of Education to order. Welcome to those of you who are in the audience here and those watching online. Director Hume, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Director Kester,
Second.
seconded by Director Connor. Is there any discussion on the matter? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion carries unanimously. We will start off this evening's meeting with our student activity and athletics recognition. At this time, I would like to invite Bill Heim, Associate Principal and Activities Director from Burnsville High School, to join us in celebrating some of our students' accomplishments from this year. Welcome, Mr. Heim.
Thank you, Board. Speakers working okay? I need to raise the podium a little bit. Okay. All right, so thank you, Board Chair Miller, Superintendent Battle, and members of the school board. I appreciate this opportunity to share some of the wonderful accomplishments of our students in District 191. Each of the people we'll be honoring tonight were recognized at the state and even national level and the world level. Robotics, thank you. I am simply amazed by the talent, dedication, and character our students show as they participate in activities and athletics throughout the year. They represent themselves, their peers, and our community in such a positive light, and I'm so proud of their accomplishments. One thing to note tonight, we'll be celebrating the accomplishments from the winter and spring sessions. So first, we have our Burnsville High School Orchestra. Congratulations. To our Burnsville High School Symphonic Orchestra, which was selected to play at the Minnesota Music Educators Association Midwinter Clinic at the Minneapolis Convention Center in February. The BHS Orchestra was one of only 4 high school orchestras statewide to be selected to perform at this year's convention. According to Scott Kozlowski, our director, our selection to this event was on par with the football team winning the state tournament in this achievement, but it was curricular in nature. He's very proud of what these students have achieved. The 191 Orchestra program is unique among South Metro schools and has grown steadily over the past several years. I was able to actually listen to this event down in Minneapolis, and I thought I was at Orchestra Hall, literally. It was just incredible music and so much talent and a culmination of the resources that our district puts into our strings orchestra program. Members in 1.5 speed, Maddie Boyko, Sarah Cadwell, Logan Deneen, Sophie Myers, Jack Morgan, Joseph Ung, Ina Park, Lauren Bachmeyer, Leo David, Isa Estrada Martinez, Isabella Lagorio, Adita Shur, Ria Shur, Minerva Cardenas, Parvina Yusupova, Amber Kazel, Jane McGuire, Bella Mikaman, Jaden Montano, Mason Peterson, Jacob Laura, Sam Morgan, Xander Boyko, and Deacon Wenning. Minnesota State Honor Choir, congratulations to Ada Brinkman, an 8th grader at Nicollet Middle School who was selected to the Minnesota State Choir of Honor. The American Choral Directors Association of Minnesota is an affiliate state association of the American Choral Directors Association. Each year, there are 7 special honor choir projects that are organized to provide enriched singing opportunities for students. Over 2,000 students audition each year for placement into the honor choir program. Ada earned a spot in the Soprano 2 group and performed at a concert in early April. So we'll come up here if I could have the symphonic orchestra. I know we have Joseph here. Director Kozlowski was unable to make it, as well as some other orchestra people, but Joseph is here.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
And Ada is here. Come on up, Ada.
Are we doing a picture?
3, 2, 1.
You, Miss Lake. Next, our Visual Arts State Festival. Senior Mallory McAllister was one of only 14 students to receive the Spotlight Artist Award at the Minnesota State High School League Section 5AA Art Show on May 4th, which earned her an invitation to the Visual State Art Festival at the Purpose Center for Arts Education on May 11th. Mallory earned the distinction for her ceramic work, Sea Bowl, which features marbles, an octopus, a starfish, sea slugs, clams, seashells, and barnacles, all covered in 15 different glazes. About the artwork, Mallory said it's way more intricate than anything I've ever made, adding, I'm definitely proud because as I was taking it down, people were asking to get a closer look and complimenting me. Congratulations to Mallory. No Mallory, okay. All right, next is Quiz Bowl. Quiz Bowl captured its 7th South Suburban Conference Championship in February. 4 Burnsville High School teams participated in the tournament and all went undefeated for a combined record of 20-0. Wow. Quiz Bowl Team A includes seniors Matt and Josh Tressel, junior Anthony Kubius, sophomore Sam Morgan, freshman Xavier Soxie. Xavier won a conference medal as the second overall scorer in the tournament. Matt was 6th, Anthony 7th, Sam 13th, and Josh 22nd. The future is very bright for the Quiz Bowl, said Coach Les Moffitt. 3 of the individuals on the championship team will be returning next year, and 2 of them are underclassmen. Burnsville B, C, and D includes BHS students Henry Buchanan, Colin Boyan, Andrew Cronin, Kat Wen, Cale Cross, and Eagle Ridge 8th grader Charlie Morgan, and Nicollet 6th grader Burke Moffitt. The teams competed at the National Academic Quiz Tournaments at the state championship, which was held on March 9th. The team tomorrow is heading to Atlanta for national championships for Quiz Bowl. And I happen to know this because I'll be driving them in a white Chevy motor coach at 12 o'clock tomorrow. Nice job, Quiz Bowl. Xavier here. Next, more incredible activities here in 191. Nicollet Knights chess team. Congratulations to the Nicollet Knights chess team, which placed 2nd at the Minnesota State Chess Association State Scholastic Middle School Championship tournament in March. Nearly 300 students in grades K through 8 competed in a 2-day, 7-day round tournament. Nicollet brought 26 players to state. Scorers included Sammy Porta, Levi Spitznagel, Miguel Kirchhoff, and John Wen. The team also competed at the national tournament held in May, the 9th through the 14th. At Nationals, Nicholas under 700 team took first place, including Kieran Martin, finishing as the top player in the country in that section. This is the first national title for a Nicollet team building on the district's tradition of chess excellence. The U900 and U1100 teams both placed 2nd in their sections, with top individuals being Franklin Brasino taking 4th in the under 900 group, and Emery Gerke taking 5th in the under 1100. Lastly, the Knights placed 3rd in the country in the Blitz tournament. Coach Ribnick said they all played at a very high level, adding that the things that allow them to be successful are the same things as what it takes to be successful in life: setting high goals, working hard, believing, and never quitting. We have some of the chess students here from the Nicola Knights. Come on up for a photo.
All right. All right.
3, 2, 1.
Wait, hold for a family in the back. That could you get, oh, wait. Okay.
Next is our Blaze Robotics First Tech Challenge FTC and First Robotics Competition FRC. A whole page for them. Like I said, they allowed us to include world championships as well as state and national. So first, we have our 3 First Tech Challenge robotics teams that qualified for the state tournament. The first team is Collateral Damage, which won the Inspire Award at the Prior Lake Tournament in November and also received 2nd place in the Think Award and 3rd place in the Design Award. At the Burnsville Tournament in January, the team earned the Winning Alliance Captain's 2nd place Think Award and the Innovative Award. Also, Ducks Under Construction team earned 2nd pick for the Winning Alliance. High Voltage won the Design Award at the Burnsville Tournament, at the Marshall Tournament in late January, and they also won the Innovative Award. Nice job, First Tech Challenge. Should we do FTC and FRC in the same picture or separate? Yeah. Same altogether? Okay, got it. All right, continuing. We have our FTC Collateral Damage. Want to recognize the coach, Adam Jacobson, and the team that includes Gerald Johnson, Kyle Plutt, Rashawn Batham, Levi Crow, and Ethan Jacobson. The FTC DOC is coached by Tanya Peters and Damian Getaran, and the team includes Emmanuel Garcia Dunayas, Cody Norgren, Owen Rimbo, Dixon Christensen, and Aiden Goderan. FTC High Voltage is coached by Craig Huber, and the team includes Joseph Ung, Blake Hassey, and Ian Park. FRC Robotics is coached by Crystal Huen, and the teams include Ethan Jacobson, Levi Crow, Roshan Batham, Dixon Christensen, Aiden Goderan, Aiden Peterson, Tessa Radisky, Seamus Boos, and Maxwell Winkler. Congratulations to both the FTC and the FRC Robotics teams on your success this year. Come on up for your photo.
Your name is called. You can hear me. Yes, I can say I need to be toward the front. The fun-sized people. That's perfect. I don't know so fast. All right, 3, 2, 1. Photographer for the team.
Get it? Photographer for the team. That's something. Have your own photographer. Cute.
Thank you, Robotics. Next is our science fair. Burnsville High School students entered 57 papers and 28 backboards at the Twin Cities Regional Science Fair this year. and 6 students in each category qualified for the state science fair competition. In the paper competition, state qualifiers were Lexi Brusoff, Greta Griffin, Olivia Hammond, Ryan Kennedy, Fevin Tesfaye, and Parvina Yusupova. In the backboard competition, state qualifiers were Vandalia Bunn, Efrata Ashete, Olivia Hammond, Ella O'Harlan, Fevin Tesfaye, and Sarah Zamudio. In addition, although it's not a student qualifying for state competition, it's worth sharing that Burnsville High School science teacher and longtime science fair advisor Mike Humiller was presented with the Inspiring Teacher Award at the Twin Cities Regional Science Fair, which is given for excellence in science mentoring of students. Congratulations, Science Fair. Here we go, Olivia. David. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Next is Olympic weightlifting. This year, Blaze athletes Jaden Ellis, Abigail Erickson, Scott Froby, Joseph Cole Mosu, Carolyn Thorson, Andy Duong, and Lauren Bachmeyer qualified for the Minnesota Weightlifting State Championship. All students except Jaden was able to participate. Here's what Coach Lehrfeld had to say about these qualifiers. Abigail has a tremendous work ethic and is always one of the last to leave the weight room. She improved so much over the last year, and she was amazing to coach. Scott, also known as Tito, is a technician in the weight room. He started to get outside his comfort zone toward the end of the season, and there's no limit of what Scott can do. Cole is another restless worker in the weight room. He had to be told to go home several times. He made huge gains over the years and will be truly missed. Caroline has so much talent and drive. Caroline wants to be the best and is willing to become that. She improved greatly this year. Andy Duong is half of the dynamic Duong duo and a powerhouse. Andy just kept getting better and better as the season went on. Lauren Bachmeyer is the leader of the group and technically flawless in her lifts. She started to really push herself at the end of the year, and the ceiling is very high for Lauren. At the Minnesota State weightlifting tournament on March 9th, Cole, the only Blaze weightlifter who placed third, Cole performed 2 lifts called the snatch and clean and jerk. For his snatch, he completed his opener at 85 kilograms. For the clean and jerk, he completed his opener at 105 kilograms and his second lift at 112. Cole said, I really enjoy weightlifting because it shows how hard you're working, and it's super rewarding to be able to lift heavy or be seen as someone who is strong. I've been putting all my efforts into competing at state, so placing third made me happy as happy as I could possibly be. I plan on continuing this journey of weightlifting in the future. I'm just getting started. We have some weightlifters here. Come on up. Nordic skiing, snow or lack thereof, this year. Congratulations to seniors Kaylin Ambule and Quinn Hess and sophomore Liam Merrill, whose performance at the Section 6A Nordic meet at Elm Creek Park Reserve qualified them for the state competition. The Nordic State meet was held in February on the 14th and 15th at Giants Ridge Resort in Biwabik. Ambule qualified for state by taking 9th in pursuit in the Section 2 competition. Hess and Merrill qualified by winning the relay at sections. It was Ambule's 3rd appearance in the last 4 years. She competed in the girls' pursuit competition, which is a combination of times from both the 5,000-meter freestyle and the classical races. She ended up 40th overall with a time of 30:31.1. The classical race was first, and Ambule was in 45th place going into the freestyle portion. She skied in the freestyle, which was the 13.58.9, which was 34th best time in the state. Heston and Merrill were at state for the first time when they competed in the boys sprint relay. They ended up 10th with a time of 13:29. Coach Gabby Ayers said this about her student athletes. Kaylin embodies dedication and iron will. She is strong-minded and driven. She raised the bar for everyone on this team all season, and in turn, we all strove to do better. She has a passion for a sport that will last a lifetime and skills to back her title as a Nordic state athlete. She has participated 3 times as a state high school athlete, and her composure under stressful situations is very awe-inspiring. Kaylin is an impressive young woman who I have no doubt will do good things for this sport in years to come. Quinn has never given up on his dream of making it to state, and this year it finally paid off. His skills as a Nordic sprinter are unrivaled by any one individual I have yet to see. This season was his 3rd in participating in this team sprint for sections in an attempt for state placement. His positive attitude and upbeat nature helped him not to waver in the face of adversity, and he made it through this year. Quinn's sportsmanship at the section and state stood out to the athletes as officials interacted with him. His win this season felt like a win for the entire team because of his support that he shows to his teammates. Liam Merrill had an amazing season this year. He developed into a strong athlete due to his strong moral compass and compassion for his teammates. He took the pressure of being Quinn's sprinter partner and supported him in accomplishing his goal of getting to state and performing at a high level. Liam wanted this goal for himself, but wanted it even more for his teammate. Liam has 2 more seasons on the Burnsville Nordic team, and he is one to watch. His strength, will of character has gotten him to where he is today and will continue to drive him forward for seasons to come. Skiers. Skiers tonight. Next is the Blazing Cats, adapted floor hockey. Congratulations to Kaylee Sorensen, who represented the Blaze in the Blazing Cats State Championship to win the floor hockey CI division. The Blazing Cats' 13-3 victory over New Prague on March 9th clinched their 2nd consecutive floor hockey championship. It is their 7th overall in 8 soccer, floor hockey, and softball tournaments since has adapted sports resumed following the pause necessitated by COVID-19. David Deal, Blazing Cats coach, said Kaylee was an essential part of the success of the Blazing Cats floor hockey championship team. She is a hard worker and great at passing and setting up shots for other players. Kaylee is also becoming a leader and a mentor to the younger players. Congratulations to Kaylee and the Blazing Cats for another successful season. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ham. Are there any comments or questions from board members? Okay. Well, I'd like to extend gratitude from this board to everybody in the room and all those that were mentioned. These are fun events. We really enjoy these. It's a great way to start off the evening. And a special appreciation and thanks to the adult parents, neighbors, friends, family members, whatever your support group. They're here tonight and supporting you all the way through. You guys are winning as much as the kids are, so thank you. You're welcome to stick around for the rest of the evening, but if you don't share the same interest in the intricate bureaucracies of school board meetings as we do, now would be a great opportunity to slide out that door over there. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I want another cucumber. Now we're back down to like 4 people. About like 4 people.
Okay.
All right, next, we're going to receive our annual Q-Comp report from Kamala Niffinger, one of our district continuous improvement coaches. Welcome.
Board Chair Miller, Directors, and Superintendent Battle, thank you for having me this evening. My name is Kamala Niffenegger, and I'm the new QComp coordinator, as well as a continuous improvement coach for our district. The quality compensation law known as QComp has 4 core components, those components being career ladder advancement, job-embedded professional development, teacher evaluation, and performance pay. The continuous improvement cycle is followed throughout the program's implementation of the 4 components. I'm here today to present to you the findings of our annual review and share recommendations we have for the 2024-2025 school year. This year, we collected data from probationary and tenured staff, teacher leaders, and administrators on implementation, impact on instruction, and impact on student learning. The district has 8 continuous improvement coaches, or CICs, serving around 600 licensed staff at 18 sites. The staff we serve supports students from birth to adult, and their roles range from general education classroom teachers to those in specialized roles such as ECFE parent educators, media specialists, and school counselors. Building Leadership Team, or BLT members, are supporting our collaborative teams, or CTs, through reviewing and providing feedback on CT goals and providing needed resources and data for CT work. Many of our BLT leaders also serve as mentors to probationary staff. With the increased commitment to our mentoring program over the last few years, we continue to maintain the gains made last year, with 85% of probationary staff respondents indicating that the mentoring relationships and support had a moderate to high impact on their practice. Oh, got ahead of myself. Collaborative teams focus on core instruction while analyzing data to identify individual student and group needs, brainstorm instructional strategies, and share resources with each other, leading to more targeted and effective teaching. During discussions, teams make decisions on pacing, rigor, and grouping strategies, ensuring alignment with standards and student needs. Additionally, CTs provide a space for teachers to mentor each other and problem solve together, resulting in improved instructional practices and increased student engagement and learning. The CICs have continued to focus on equitable practices when working with all 191 staff. Staff continue to engage in collegial conversations and create action plans around topics such as supporting and engaging multilingual learners, approaching neurodiverse students with strengths-based model, implementing strategies to build a sensitive and supportive environment for students experiencing trauma, and developing an asset-based approach to partnering with families and more. The CAC team continuously seeks out additional ways to provide opportunities for all staff to grow professionally and be responsive to the diversity of those they serve. Largely, staff along with administrators see the overall impact their observations have on their practice. But we are seeing discrepancies between our tenured and probationary staff members in how the observation cycle is supporting their professional growth. In each category, our probationary staff members report lower agreement that observations and evaluations have a moderate to high impact on their practice when compared to their tenured peers. We know that these two groups vary in needs, and so we need to differentiate our support for them. In order to better support our probationary staff members, we need to continuously improve and refine our mentoring program, including reviewing and revising the training we provide mentors so they can best support their mentees. Mentees that are in the same building as their mentors report higher levels of support. We recommend more intentionality and time allocated for those mentor-mentee partnerships that are spread across different sites. Learning walks are a research-proven practice. They can be a transformative growth opportunity for staff, especially in regards to moving from professional development and knowledge to professional practice. Research shows that when learning walks are approached with an affirming and asset-based orientation, they reduce professional isolation, increase teachers' willingness to try new strategies, increase opportunities for reflective dialogue, and increases collaboration. Building capacity among administrators in providing coaching and feedback to probationary staff members is essential for fostering growth within our organization. By ensuring our systems support regular opportunities for feedback and reflection, and equipping administrators with the skills and resources to effectively coach and develop talent, we empower them to both enhance the performance of probationary staff and create an organizational culture conducive to continuous improvement for all staff members. Based on the survey results collected in this year's QComp review, we're making the following additional recommendations for the 2024-2025 school year. After piloting the updated Danielson framework with non-summative tenured staff this year, we recommend full implementation with those staff on the classroom teaching rubric. We recommend continued onboarding and training for administrators, evaluators, and coaches on the updated rubric, as well as continuing opportunities for staff members to familiarize themselves with all domains of the rubric. In addition to the updated Danielson classroom teacher rubric, we currently have an additional 12 rubrics for our specialized roles. These specialized roles include school psychologist, speech and language pathologist, deans, and more. These rubrics need to be updated to reflect changes based on the 2023 legislative session that will take effect for the 2025-2026 school year, as well as to ensure that these rubrics accurately reflect current practices of those roles. Finally, we continue to align our QComp programming with the Minnesota Multi-Tiered Systems of Support Framework. This year, we focused on ensuring that our building leadership teams and collaborative teams are linked and communicating effectively. Next year, we'll focus on supporting the functioning of these teams, particularly in using the continuous improvement, often called the Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle, to increase effectiveness and impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Do board members have any questions or comments? Yes, we do.
I do have a question, but before I ask it, could someone open the door in the back I assume the noise level has gone down now that the recognized students and families have departed. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question, could you just talk a little bit more about this Danielson framework and kind of what's involved in it? Is there like a 1-minute version of that?
So Danielson framework is the indicators of effective teaching practice, and it includes 4 domains, like the first domain, planning and preparation, the learning environment, teaching experiences, and then professional responsibilities.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions, comments? Yes, Director Alt.
Thank you, Chair Miller. Just a couple of questions. And so core component, I went to the report. And under the core component, job embedded professional development, the report stated that some teachers emphasize the importance of revamping grading policies to provide a more accurate assessment of how student success and importance of revamping grading policies to provide a more accurate assessment of student success and identify areas needing additional support. Can you elaborate on how grading policies have changed, at what levels, and what the goals were behind that?
So our secondary staff is focused on grading for equity, which involves, so I'm not a secondary teacher, so I'm going to try to do my best here to represent it. Dr. Bowles?
Go ahead. We can help you out.
Okay.
As secondary folks.
So it's making sure that our assessments accurately reflect student learning and don't take into account other things into that student learning. So when we look at a student's grade in chemistry, that is what they know and are able to demonstrate in chemistry, not late work or absenteeism or behavior embedded into that.
So then, in theory, the teacher that a student may have would no longer impact the grade. The class itself would determine the grade that the student receives, and the grade and the class that the student is in, as well as the student's learning and effort would be reflected in the grade as opposed to the adult in the class.
Yes, and I would say it's the student's knowledge and understanding of the curriculum. More so, because sometimes we evaluate things like effort or what we perceive, and it's really what you should be able to look at your student's report card and say, they're getting A in this, so they know this level of knowledge.
Okay, I'm just, sorry, I see some eyes going, so,
She's doing a good job.
okay,
So,
okay.
well,
I don't have other-
And then clarifying question, and I think you kind of answered this, in terms of the differential between the responses from probationary staff versus seasoned staff, the tenured staff. Why the differential between, why is it that you think the impact of pro-pay is trending lower among probationary staff than among tenured staff? And the converse of that, why are tenured staff seeing more benefit than probationary staff?
I mean, we would have to probably dig deeper into the data to know
Yep.
that. How we support probationary staff is just different than tenured staff. For example, continuous improvement coaches, right now, how it's structured, we have a very structured and formal way that we work with our tenured staff. And probationary staff is primarily supported by their building administrators.
Gotcha.
That's who does their observations.
Okay, thank you. And then I guess I'd need a little more elaboration on the change with the Danielson training, because 46% of responding administrators indicated that the updated Danielson training had a moderate impact on the inter-rater reliability and their ability to provide meaningful feedback. And it seems like, if I'm understanding correctly, that is what we're continuing with. Am I understanding that correctly?
So we've used the Danielson rubric for many years in our district. The updated Danielson obviously just reflects more of our current practices. We, administrators and coaches, used to go through a very intensive 40-hour training on Danielson rubric, where they would have to pass 2 tests that last 3 to 6 hours, and that doesn't exist right now for updated Danielson, like the framework we used to use. And so we just don't have something that is as intensive, I would say, to replace it yet, and we're working on building that.
And that's what that 46%.
With what they went through this year, we had an outside provider come in and do a few sessions.
Yep.
But by no means as extensive as like our original training.
So
it
that's
was
why
on
it got the
that.
lower. That's why it got the
Yes.
the lower assessment. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do, if I'm understanding the report correctly, is we're building our own. Okay. So then, obviously, the module is, if that's that we were using in Danielson, that was something that we were paying for, that
Yes.
intensive testing.
Yep, it was an outside provider, and they have sunsetted, that company has.
Gotcha.
well.
So, and I don't know if this is a question for you or for Amina, the money that we were spending on that module, is that now being invested in building our own internal program? Yes. Okay. And is that one of those, another 3-year implementation?
No, we would expect to have that done within the next year.
Gotcha.
We can begin working on that right away.
And if I can go just one level deeper, what is that based on? It must be based on Danielson. Just trying to understand what we're replacing a known Danielson module with internally.
So our plan currently is to create our own internal modules based on that same format that the previous vendor had before, only using, on a smaller scale, just using our own internal resources rather than national resources. And so our principals would see and work within examples that come just from our district. So it's a small-scale version based on the same pedagogy and the same structure as the previous one.
So then inter-rater reliability is still going to be part and parcel of that?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
That
Okay.
continues to be an ongoing component, no matter what external frame, whatever the initial training is, we still do that internal piece. This
Awesome.
year, we did building-wide sessions in which administrators and teams went to buildings with the continuous improvement coaches, and we had a round of observations, and then we came back and processed our scores for those observations, and so we did that at elementary and at secondary with the teams of evaluators. And so that was our own internal kind of check for inter-rater reliability, and that's a practice that we'll continue to do regardless of what other training that we have.
So in theory, I mean, what I'm hearing you saying, Amina, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're going to be using our resources a little more wisely, probably not spending quite as much money on that other module and being able to do this in-house more effectively.
I think the net cost is going to be about the same for us to do the initial build because it's
It's a build.
It requires a lot of
Yeah.
upfront.
Yeah.
But we would be spending the money at a fairly same rate,
Yeah.
but then down the road, we would have our own internal module to be able to fall back on instead of paying for it every year.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Neffinger. Thank you. Have a nice evening. At this time, we will be receiving a report about the Board of Education Student Representative for 2024-2025. But before we do that, I would like to take time to recognize and honor our outgoing student representative and their alternates. This year's student representative to the school board has been Cody Hong, and the alternates who have helped and supported this have been Emma Tilbury, who is here with us this evening, and Hamza Segal. We would like to thank them for all their service to this board, to Burnsville High School, and to District 191 as a whole. The role of student representative to the board is an important one, with each representative bringing their own skills, personality, and interest to the job. Cody, Emma, and Hamza have been instrumental in helping keep our entire board informed and connected to the happenings at Burnsville High School through their regular reports. More importantly, they have brought helpful insight into the overall atmosphere and outlook of the student body to be sure we have a full perspective as we consider the issues that come before us. Next fall, I understand Cody is headed to Vassar College in New York, where he plans to major in sociology. Emma, would you like to share any of your plans for next year?
Next year, I'm going to University of St. Thomas, and I'm studying biology on the pre-med track.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I speak for everyone when I say we feel fortunate to have gotten to know you all, and we're proud of the work you do, and we're so excited to see you continue in your journey. At this time, I would call Principal Sandoval and Associate Principal Heim to come forward and introduce our new student representative for the 2024-2025 school year.
Thank you, Board Chair Miller, Superintendent Dr. Battle, Directors of the Board. We are pleased to be here. As mentioned, I brought AP Heim, and we will introduce our new student board here rep very soon. I'm going to ask Mr. Heim to just share a little bit about our process, so that way we know how we came to conclusion. And take it away, Mr. Heim.
Sure. So thankfully, this is not the first time we've chosen someone. Obviously, Emma is here, as well as Cody and Hamza. But we put out a Schoology announcement to our junior class, and we were able to obtain 11 students who were ready to fulfill this role. Of the 11, 8, after they figured out what was really going on, we put some interviews together. We had Emma on the interview team, as well as Cody and Mr. Sandoval. We had power interviews that went on, just kind of finding out why the students were interested and what they were thinking that they could, contribute to District 191. And we stole lots of good ideas from them. And we were able to choose our representatives. I'll let Mr. Sandoval go ahead and talk about those representatives.
Wonderful. And so, as it was indicated, it was exciting to see such an interest, to have 11 students come forward and then 8 interview. That shows me and hopefully shows you all in our community that we have a great thing going for us. And to be able to have a student's voice at the table at a school board level is amazing. And so thank you for being who we are and allowing that student voice to be elevated. And so without further ado, I'd like to take a moment and introduce our upcoming student board rep, and that will be Miriam, and Miriam Bread-Eye. And so I'm going to ask her just to say a few words if she's interested. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm honored to be here tonight. I'm especially honored to be following in the footsteps of student representatives like Emma and Cody, and I'm even more excited to be able to represent my peers and student body at Burnsville High School.
And with that, before we close, I do want to honor as well, we have 2 strong alternates. And so as we see today, with Emma stepping in, we have McKinley Shannon, which is also present at the moment. Please be recognized, McKinley. Yep. Just to say, yeah, you can say a few words if you wish.
Hi, it's good to be here. I apologize, I'm not dressed as professionally as the rest of you. It's very good to be here. Like Miriam said, I'm very happy that I was able to occupy this position, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all whenever Miriam is sick.
Thank you. And then also we have Shanaz Gutierrez, and Shanaz was not able to make it this evening, but with the 3 of them, we're in good hands, and we've already had a meeting for a transitional. We had both Emma, Cody, and our 3 board members, 2 alternate, and Miriam was able to be there. And so we're confident that we're going to have a great transition, which we already started, and a great upcoming school year. Thank you.
Well, thank you. A special welcome to our new representative, Miriam, and the alternates, McKinley and Shanaz. We look forward to working together. Thank you. Do board members have any questions or comments for our new representatives?
I'll just say welcome. You'll be sitting next to me for a little while. And also, I would like to tell the story. I was at the Burnsville Hall of Fame induction a couple of years ago, and one of the inductees I was talking to him and mentioned that I was on the board, and he was the student rep to the board when he was in high school. So you never know what the future may hold. But he's gone on to do pretty great things, and also at one point was the student rep to the board. So welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yes, Director Alt.
Yes, welcome both. Student voice is very important. Number one, we always appreciate nights like tonight when we have a full house with mostly students and also their families. So just know that your voices do matter. So we're really excited to have you join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say welcome as well. Thank you. Glad to have you.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming here tonight. All right, now we'll take reports from board members regarding board committees, appointments, and school assignments. We'll just start out with the legislative committee. Director.
We have nothing to report.
Okay.
The
Then we'll
session has ended.
Yes, it has. Rather profoundly, yes. We'll move on to policy review. Policy Committee, Director Murcell. Oh, Murcell's not present. Connor or Alt, do you want to take a swing at it?
Yep, we met on Tuesday, and there will be policies coming forward in our June meeting, mostly with just on regular review.
Thank you. Staying with Director Alt, Negotiations Committee.
Yes, on Thursday, May 16th, we reached a tentative agreement with the teachers union for their 2023 through 2025 contract. We are happy that we were able to reach this agreement and thank the BEA's negotiating team for working with us on it. Details will be made available if and when the members of the BEA ratify the agreement. If the agreement is ratified by BEA members, it would then come forward to this board for approval. No date has been set for this to happen. This concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. I'll then just open it up to any other board committees reports that we have at this time. Let's go ahead to Connor.
Good evening. This is the report from AMSD. We had our meeting on May 3rd. First, we had three speakers talk about innovations that they wanted to implement for the coming school year. The READ Act was passed, and so we're happy about that. They also want to do educator wellness and support, special teacher education apprenticeship, paraeducation. They want to innovate field trips and academic education through competitions and conferences that are hosted by U of M students. And they want to survey high school students on what they actually want, like what type of field trips and conferences they want. Companies volunteer their time to mentor these students. They also want to provide training for the READ Act. They want to introduce Compass leadership training and state-funded, and this is state-funded. It's a collaborative Minnesota partnerships to advance student success. Okay, and then we had a speaker, Secretary of State Stephen Simon. He was the guest speaker. He just wanted us to know that schools play a very important part in the upcoming election. I was very interested in this speaker and the information that he gave out. He said he wants high turnout, low drama, so oasis of calm. And he introduced a lot of laws about our polling places that I had no idea about, how much went into that. That was very educational. He also talked about the laws and the statutes on voting and the voting places themselves. I learned of many commodities regarding voting, and it was very interesting. It left me more knowledgeable about the vast input and policies and safety measures that go into our voting places and the laws that surround it. He would also like to implement a new initiative, and this will be the first in first in our country. Oh, no, that's a different sentence. I'm sorry. First in our country for voter turnout, we were the last election. And we were, I'm going to just talk about the initiative. Okay, the initiative he wants to do is to get high school students that are 17 years old already signed up and interested to vote, so that when they turn 18, they already are educated about it and get more community attention. He said that he wants these young people to know that voting is a privilege. And when you choose not to vote, it really makes a difference, because one vote can make a difference. He said in his community, I believe, there was a voting, one poll, that there was one vote that made a difference. So it really does count. And there was one good part that he said, that voting, and I wish I saw that quote here that I wrote, but I don't see it. He said that it makes voting turnout is, if you choose not to vote, it's not an act of rebellion, it's an act of surrender. So that's just how much your vote counts. So that's just a message to the young people. So really take your voting seriously, and we hope that that initiative gets put through. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Any other board committee reports?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Intermediate District 917 met Tuesday, May the 7th. Part of our meeting was a report on the various grant funding they've received through various partnerships. They had put out requests for over $13 million and received almost $7 million of that, in partnership with the fellow other intermediate districts in the metro area, the Minnesota Humanities Center and Metro State University. And it's divvied out in a variety of, bundles. But the priorities were to support staff recruitment and development and retention, improve career tech programming, improve alternative education programming, provide opportunities to engage truant students in positive educational experiences, diversify the teaching workforce, as well as create and implement Minnesota's first registered teacher apprenticeship program. Which is kind of exciting.
Yeah. All right, then this concludes the information portion of our meeting this evening. We'll now move to the business portion of our meeting, and we'll start by approving the consent agenda. Although board action is required, it is generally unnecessary to hold the discussion on these items. In the event a board member wishes to discuss an item, that item will be moved for separate consideration. Do more board members wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Director Werb,
Second.
seconded by Director Alt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion carries unanimously. In the first item under new business, we are being asked to adopt a resolution for membership in the Minnesota State High School League. Presenting this resolution will be Dr. Chris Belmont, Assistant Superintendent. Welcome, Chris.
Good evening, Chair Miller, Superintendent Battle, members of the board. I get to bring to you a resolution for membership in the Minnesota State High School League. So this is an annual process where the board adopts this resolution. There is some information in the minutes as well. The Minnesota State High School League is the governing agency for all interscholastic co-curricular activities. The administration recommends renewal of our annual membership of $10,494.25. And then there's a breakdown where that cost goes. I did look, and it is a 0% increase from last year. And with that, any questions?
Okay. Is there a motion, though, for us to adopt the resolution to join the Minnesota State High School League for the next school year?
So moved.
Moved by Director Hume,
Second.
seconded by Director Chester. Now, is there any discussion on the matter? Okay, seeing none. We have been, having been moved and seconded, this resolution will require a roll call vote. So in just a second, I will ask Sarah to call the roll. And when she calls your name, please respond with either an aye if you are in favor of the resolution, or nay if you're opposed. Sarah, will you please make the roll call?
Director Alt?
Aye.
Director Werb?
Aye.
Chair Miller?
Aye.
Director Connor?
Aye.
Director Chester?
Aye.
Director Hume?
Aye.
This resolution was declared duly passed and adopted. The next item we are being asked to consider is to approve an agreement for co-located mental health services with Washburn Center for Children for the 2024 and 25 school year. Here to present the recommendation is Amy Petoskey, Director of Student Support Services. Welcome, Amy.
Good evening, Chair Miller, Dr. Battle, and members of the board. I am here this evening to bring forward the amended contract with Washburn Center for Children, that the Board of Education approve the agreement of mental health services with Washburn Center for Children for the 24-25 school year for a total of $628,000, and authorize the Executive Director of Administration Services to execute the agreement. The agreement for the 24-25 increases full-time equivalent FTEs for therapists from 11 to 12.5 at no additional cost for the district. I would also like to share a success story. I frequently get some success stories, but this one kind of hits my heart a little bit. So in October, a 12th grade student was referred to therapy for anxiety and panic symptoms. At the start of therapy, the student was not on track to graduate on time, sharing in therapy that she felt worried that graduating was not a possibility. The student learned and practiced coping skills for anxiety and began to see improvements. She then began to dream about what she might do after high school. The student reached out to her teachers to support her, and after practicing asking for help in therapy sessions, and began seeing success in her class. By the start of the third quarter, she was on track to graduate on time. The therapist showed the student a flyer about the North Star Scholarship hanging on the bulletin board at the high school. She decided to apply for college. Several weeks later, she requested the same-day therapy appointment with the therapist to share an email that she had been accepted a letter at a community college. The student is finishing her 4 remaining high school credits and will be the first in her family to graduate from high school. As we began talking about the upcoming end of therapy, the student reflected on how therapy provided her the space to learn how to cope with anxiety, recognize her strengths, and to take steps moving forward with the future she wants to build. So we know that mental health services continue to be one of the greatest needs of student population, and this agreement allows the district to continue to serve students comprehensively, more comprehensively than the previous school year. I am pleased to recommend this agreement for your approval. That ends my report.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation in front of us?
So moved.
Moved by Director Werb,
Second.
seconded by Director Alt. Is there any discussion? Yes, Director Alt?
Just a question, and thank you for sharing that, Amy. So, hurrah, increasing FTE at no additional cost. That's awesome. It's great for our students. Thinking in terms of equity versus equality and knowing that need can vary, I have to ask the question.
Yeah, sure.
Based on the distribution of FTE, this is addressing known need where it lives.
There are the elementary buildings that are getting the increase have several students in the elementary level that are on the waiting list. Washburn Center for Children actually came to me proposing this proposal, hoping to be able to meet more needs in the school. So it is a definite need in our elementary buildings.
Okay.
So yes,
Okay.
but thank you for asking that question.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Amy. Our final item in new business is to consider approving a deletion for the 2023-24 course catalog. Here to present this recommendation is Assistant Superintendent Dr. Chris Belmont.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm here recommending to the board that the Board of Education approves the deletion to the 2023-24 course catalog detailed in commencement participation. So we unintentionally omitted this section from our deletions when we came to the board in the fall. And so we're here trying to make that right. This language was moved from the course catalog section in the website to the graduation tab.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the recommended deletion of the 2023-24 catalog to the catalog, not of the catalog?
So moved.
Moved by Director Humes.
Second.
Seconded by Director Connor. Is there any discussion in the matter?
Just want to clarify.
Yes.
So, to be clear, we're not changing the requirements. We're deleting these from the course catalog. And moving them to a different portion of the website, I think I heard you say?
Yeah, in partnering with Burnsville High School administration, we determined that the course catalog is really intended to be an interactive tool for our students to register for courses. And then you have graduation requirements, the amount of credits needed to earn a diploma. And then you have commencement participation. Commencement participation was moved towards that graduation piece where it delineates the amount of credits needed to earn a high school diploma, graduation kind of features and pieces, as well as commencement participation. Also, around the same time, our summer school capabilities increased, and students were able to earn up to 4 credits in a summer. So we followed the same spirit of the commencement participation when we updated that section of the website. However, now it's up to 4 credits behind in order to participate in commencement. A 1 credit difference, kind of occurring at the same time as the move to the different location.
Thank you.
Director Hume, if I may, it's acknowledged that there is some discussion that needs to be held around the graduation requirements and the requirements for walking at graduation, and that will be held at a separate workshop with a different topic on the matter. Tonight, this resolution simply is as to whether or not that material needs to be advertised in the course catalog or not. So, thank you for inquiring, though. Yes, Director Earl.
Just another clarifying question. So, Dr. Belmont, it's my understanding that you're already working on a revision to the course catalog. Is that correct?
To come to the board for next year?
For next year?
Yes, yeah, that's already occurring through discussions with Principal Sandoval and their building leadership team, which represents each of the departments. Yeah.
So, understanding that mistakes happen, something like this it's a big catalog. I would ask that, an audit happen of the previous catalog so that we can make sure that this is the only thing that was omitted for board action. And if there is something that's discovered that didn't come forward in a previous revision, kind of like policy, in the same way that policy changes come forward with the strike-throughs and, the red font, that same process, it can be made clear to the board that, oops, we missed that too.
Okay, thank you.
That would be awesome.
Okay.
Did I have anything else? Nope, that was it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments this evening? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Bell.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, this concludes new business for this evening. Next on our agenda is a work session to learn more about orgometrics and equimetrics. I move, though, first that we take a brief recess and return to this agenda item at, let's make it 7:45. All those, is there a second on my motion?
Second.
Second by Director Connor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Please return to the dais at 7:45. Thank you.
Thanks.
has indicators, and one of those indicators is tied to our strategic direction to create space and opportunity for each and every voice to be heard. And those voices include staff, parents, and students. And so this presentation tonight will be focused on two new staff surveys that we will be launching, and also the strategic direction actively leading by developing and sustaining a diverse and equitable education system. So we have two tools, one for organizational health and one to assess our equity work. And so we are grounded in research. We are a professional learning organization. We do not do things willy-nilly. So I'd like to share some research about the importance of looking at your organization's health, that the essence of leadership is the dynamic processes of culture creation and management, and that as a leader, we need to understand our own assumptions about how things should work in our organizations and whether these assumptions fit those that are actually operating in practice. Also, referencing Peterson and Deal, positive organizational cultures are characterized by a shared sense of purpose, underlying norms of collegiality, improvement, and hard work, rituals and traditions to celebrate accomplishment, innovation, and commitment, informal networks which provide a social web of information, support, and history, and my favorite, abundant success, joy, and humor. So on the opposite, a toxic organizational culture is characterized by a view of the past as a story of defeat and failure, little sense of community, and many negative beliefs about colleagues and students. Few positive traditions or ceremonies that develop a sense of community. And I must say, our own Foundation 191, the Scholarship Award, shows that we are not a toxic community for that particular sense of community and celebration. Another toxic characteristic is a network of naysayers, saboteurs, rumor mongers, and anti-heroes. And last, a common occurrence of distrust and revenge. And so that is so important. The tools we have presented are grounded in research, and Mr. Johnson will share that. And so now I'm going to have Isis share with you why we believe this tool will help us, and especially one of the components of our equity action plan. Mrs. Buchanan.
Chair Miller, Superintendent Dr. Battle, and members of the board, thank you for having me here today. And so I think it was at the meeting earlier this month where we looked at our district equity action plan. And so some of the metrics that I referenced were the orgometrics and equimetrics data, but really it just focuses in on how will we know what our staff members are saying about the equity work that we're doing in our district. And so some of those areas, where that data would come into play was the area of supporting our district equity team, also looking at this idea of the site-based teams and how we work to value diversity within our district. So this data would be used to help us know where are those places where we're thriving, and then where are places where we may need to emphasize and put more work in. And then we also had a strategy that focused on retaining and recruiting diverse staff. And so being able to really look at some staff data and know how different staff members are feeling. And finally, the last place where there was a connection to this was really making sure that we're spending time to look at and evaluate, our practices to see if they're having an impact. And so the data from the equimetrics survey, will help support us in that work. So I hope you enjoy learning more about both of the tools.
Thank you, Isabel. Appreciate that. So good evening, 191 School Board. Very much thankful to be here to be able to present to you. Myself, a little bit about me and my background. I grew up in the Minneapolis public schools as a career counselor. the best job I ever had. So I kudos to the school members and Dr. Battle and all the work that you're doing. I know what that feels like, having been there. One of the things, though, that I noticed while I was in the district was that administrators were struggling to get their employees to kind of fly information. And my brother had started a business around that time, and I said to him, hey, we got to do this in the public sector. And fortunately, we started measuring organizational alignment for school districts and so on, and kind of got other going across the country and whatnot. But one of the things that we noticed was that people that were minority and women sometimes are not answering the items very favorably. So that inspired us to put a tool together to measure diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we launched it 1 month before George Floyd was murdered and caught a big tailwind, but for what I like to say is the wrong reason, because we felt like these constructs should have been measured anyway. So who are we? We are Infinity Systems. We empower leaders, we align organizations, and drive results. We've always known intuitively that organizations that were aligned around mission and vision and strategic plan would outperform organizations that are not having that. The issue now is that we have the data to substantiate that, and you'll see a book that my brother wrote. Fortunately, it hit Amazon's bestseller and Wall Street Journal's bestseller as well. This slide right here is very busy, and it's an engineer's dream. But every organization tends to go through some iteration of this, which is, do we have a mission, do we have a vision, do we have a strategic plan, do we have goals and objectives, and if we have a budget, we move forward. What I need you to take away from this is, do the key performance metrics, do the job requirements, do the professional development, training and onboarding, and rewards and recognition all need to tie back to the strategic plan, because if it doesn't, your employees will either leave or misalign and productivity will be lost. We have a partnership with the University of Minnesota. Their head women's rowing coach said it best. She said if their oars are off by a fraction of a second, that's the difference between winning and losing. So there you'll see the bottom boat, a couple of people rowing in the opposite direction. You are better off having less people on your team because it's counterproductive. The middle boat, you got everybody rowing and working hard, which means they're engaged, but that doesn't mean they're all working on the right things. So then you have the top boat outpacing everybody, which means they're in a full alignment. And we define alignment as the strength of harmony between strategy, structure, and culture. You've probably seen this before. It's that old game of telephone. You walk into the room, you tell one person one thing. By the time it gets to the last person, it's a different message. Well, those red bubbles indicate misalignment, and that tends to breed more misalignment. So here are our two tools: Orgometrics, which provides a score in mission and vision, communication, creativity, accountability, best practices, teamwork, empowerment, leadership, and development. And then for Equimetrics, you get a score in diversity, equity, inclusion, cultural competency, mission, vision, values, communication, leadership, alignment, and policy and practice. Now, those psychometric scores that you're seeing at the bottom speak to the reliability of our instruments. Anything over a 0.5 is deemed reliable. Fortunately, we are well over that. And when the districts that we work with take our assessments, the goal is for them to answer the items with a 9 or a 10, because that's a strongly agreed response. A 7 and 8 is like a lukewarm, and 1 through 6, you're basically a detractor. Now, I realize that I've kind of given you a mouthful so far. Any questions? Okay. So here are the definitions that make up our constructs. For diversity, we're looking for a presence of individuals with varying backgrounds. Equity, fair and transparent treatment of all. Inclusion, what we like to say is, are we invited to dinner? Can we order off of the menu? And will our ideas be considered? Cultural competency gets super interesting because unconscious bias and microaggressions tend to bubble up through that. Mission, vision, and values is measured because if you have a DEI plan and if it's not baked into the fabric of the organization, they just don't last. And then communication, how well and how often is this plan shared within the organization or district? Leadership, sometimes there are good leaders, but they don't cascade messages very well. Then alignment, do the policies, the communication, and budget all tie back to the plan, because if it doesn't, it won't work. Then last but not least, policy and practice. What good is it to have this plan if it's not going to be enforced? So here's the district that's taken our assessment. You'll see that they have a 40.7% equimetric score. Now, what does that mean? That means that 40% of this district answered the items with a 9 or a 10. Then you can see how they responded by construct underneath that. Then also you're able to take your district and compare it to normative data on the right for benchmarking. Now, as we dive into the instrument, you'll see that there are questions tied to each of the constructs. So for question number 1 under diversity, my organization actively promotes diversity within the organization. 42% strongly agree, 34% agree, 23% disagree. For question number 5 under equity, my organization creates equal access to resources for underrepresented populations. 38% strongly agree, 33% agree, 27% disagree. So that middle column, which is in yellow, we like to call the swing voters. When we can message them more effectively and bring them over to the strongly agreed side, we will see some significant change. Now, here are some different ways of breaking the data down. So how are the East Asian, the white, the black, the Hispanic employees answering these items? Because very oftentimes there's a storyline in how they're responding or not responding. Sexual orientation tends to be another big one. And then this is a word cloud to capture the common themes, as there's a write-in section for each of the constructs. And this provides an opportunity to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. 1, show your employees that you're listening to them, and then 2, address key issues. And then we also have a partnership with Michigan State University. They have what's called an Andy Lab. They have done a deep dive on our constructs and add that extra layer of research behind our assessments. And when we go to make our best practice recommendations, they will also share articles and periodicals that have been written along those recommendations. Then in the bottom right-hand corner, you also see that we're industry agnostic, as we do this for law enforcement, city government, nonprofit, corporate America, and also higher ed institutions. Then this slide here speaks to the metrics that matter, and a lot of the districts that I work with will track either, MCA test scores, graduation rates, suspension rates of students of color, closing the achievement gap. So this is some work that we did with Des Moines, and we found that increasing their accountability score by 1 point led to a 14% drop in chronic absenteeism. So there are correlations that we're finding, which makes this really exciting and opportunistic. And then this slide just shows some of the clients that we work with.
So I'll add one other piece, correct my memory if I'm incorrect. We're looking at the equimetrics in the fall and the orgometrics in the spring.
Okay.
Is that correct? Isis, help me.
I have to go
So
back to
they're
my
not
notes
going to
to
be
confirm
given at the
the
same
same
time
time.
is my point. And so I also wanted to share some of the next steps. We can tailor some of these questions based on our work in the district. So you want to share a little bit about that, because we have been using culturally proficient school systems. And then so there'll be a team of my staff that will work with Mr. Johnson and his staff to ask some key questions that we would like some
So yes,
insight
you
on.
can add to the assessment, right.
And one other note, it's been a little while since I presented my initial budget. This was included as part of my budget proposal. So that's our presentation background, and then we'll work with the board to set a date once we launch this, how you want it reported on the dashboard, because it is part of the dashboard metrics for staff.
So this is a workshop, so I'll open it up. I just want to, that last point you just made, dashboard, we should probably consider, and I would hope that Mr. Johnson can help us a bit with this, or his company can, we'll need a little bit of interpretation. Can't just throw a number up on the dashboard.
Yeah.
Next to this, because I don't know what
Says
it'll
you
mean.
see how
This was a,
comprehensive this
yes,
is.
right. So we'll need a,
Thank you for
we'll need a one or two versions pop-up window versus a, what it was, 12-slide presentation, something like that, so.
One other note, I did attend a presentation, was it MASA or MSBA, where two superintendent colleagues presented along with Mr. Johnson, and they shared one of the surprises. So we work toward inclusion, making sure our staff with special needs have what they need, and it was very interesting. They found out for the deaf of hard and hearing employees, there were barriers all over. So you may recall that example. So it just really, they said, helps illuminate things you can't see, what's going on every day and the impact on your employees. So just wanted to share that.
And just final on my point, some context would be appreciated too. So, you know, I don't know if, I'm sure you have collected numbers around in the educational segment, maybe in the corporate segment or something, so comparisons when we put the number finally out there, can understand where we fall and how that reflects on where we are. Other questions or comments or discussion? Well, maybe while people are gathering their thoughts, I had a couple other additional, I am curious about the actual testing, I guess you call it, whatever you refer to. So is that done, I presume you have it all done digitally on
All we need is everybody's email address, and then we embed that in a link and push it out to everybody.
Certainly.
It only takes about 8 minutes to complete.
So how are we going to ensure that we get, I'll ask you this, how are we ensuring that we're getting participation in this?
So when we were learning more about the tool, that was one of the questions that we had. But there's a strategy they use to like continue to, you know, push it out there for staff to complete, and then just creating a plan so that our administrators are allowing staff the time to complete the surveys, and just being a little more structured and not just sending it as an email, but really saying, you know, carve out time in that meeting for people to take the different surveys.
How long does it usually take?
The survey itself,
Yeah.
or how long? 8 minutes.
Oh, okay, so it's pretty real quick, all right.
So
And
it'll
this
be
is a
introduced. It'll be not just sent, but
like
a conversation. So this
There'll be a plan, you know, created of how we're going to let people know about this is coming. Because I don't know if you know, but these days, if you if you just randomly send staff an email with a link, they're going to all panic and submit tech tickets and say, is this spam? Or, you know, and so we really have a, you know, we'll work with our technology team and just make sure that that they know, and that, you know, everyone knows that the survey is coming, and that it is something that's a legitimate thing that we're.
Yeah, that's valuable. I think even deeper to Director Elt's point is, though, that we should engage before engaging, right? So they understand why we're investing in this and the value of this metric. So yes, they should be anticipating it, but they should also be expecting it, right? So understanding.
Maybe it's introduced at building staff meetings or something.
Exactly.
So that people just are aware that it's coming, right?
Yes.
And then we provide a letter to helping to address that, saying, please, staff, take the time to help with this survey so we can get vital information towards our equity goals. That's helpful. And then when we send our reminders, they only go to those that haven't taken the assessment. So then that helps too, from that standpoint.
and obviously staff are told that it's confidential and private.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would encourage us to engage earlier than later with our bargaining units so that they understand, because time is often measured in even increments of 8 minutes, so they understand the value and encourage their membership to participate. So.
And I'm not sure in the past, did we use the tools? I know. Yeah. But, so I just think some people may be kind of familiar with some of it.
Emails, messages, and everything.
Because you worked with District 191 before.
Dr. Goddard was here.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Principals remembered it, and
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Belmont was the principal.
Yep.
He remembers it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, welcome back.
Well, thank you. Glad to be back.
Just thinking, I don't know how possible it is, but it might be interesting to do a comparison of where we were then and where we are now. If you still have that.
We do still have that
from
data.
before.
Uh-huh.
I'd be curious at some point to see that growth, hopefully growth, presumably growth.
Right?
Would it have been the same, would you have offered the same tool then as you do now?
We did orgometrics with you about 7 years ago, maybe, and we don't change the questions because if we do, then we can't compare. So that's why we keep them the same. So there should be something like that. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. No, I mean, different staff, of course,
Right.
but still, we're the same system.
And I know I did talk to other, like the Columbia Heights superintendent, because their district has been using, I believe, both of the tools for a while. And so just really learning that a big piece of the equimetric survey is about really learning that perspective of your staff in different groups, because work you're doing could be affecting one group in a positive way, but then having a negative effect with another group. And then being aware with that and trying to dig deeper was one of the things she mentioned about how to tailor some of their, professional learning for the staff within the school district.
Yep. And then the resources with Michigan or Missouri?
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Yes. It tells you once we get the feedback, this is how you can learn, because we're a learning organization. And they have those resources.
I'm curious, I appreciate that you maintain an anonymous position on the survey, but is there any demographical information you capture per the input, so that, because I mean, especially I would imagine around the equity piece, perspective, learned, traveled on, whatever, would be important in consideration of the outcome, right?
Right. So in the drop-down menus, race or sexual orientation will all be able to. You can check a box, and there's even the option to prefer not to respond or prefer not to select as well. So that's how we get it on the front end.
Okay, good.
And then the sample size, we won't, if it's less than 5, we won't, so if there's only just making this up, let's say there are 5 teachers or 3 teachers, then we group everybody together so that to protect the anonymity.
Yes, very good. Okay.
What do you, so I noticed on the sexual orientation, where would trans fit?
If you want that, that would be in a drop-down menu.
But it wouldn't be under sexual orientation.
It
would be different.
Gender selection.
It would be gender.
Right, they'd be under gender.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, those are just some things we look at and that we can add.
I would.
Do as he said.
So when we go to build the survey and sit down with you, then we hash all that out.
Yeah.
That's what you saw was just something else. That's not everybody does it that way.
Okay, got
Everybody
it.
doesn't ask.
I'm very literal.
Some districts do not ask.
Right.
Right.
They're not allowed to ask.
And Dr. Battle, we know that you and your team will work on making sure that the drop-downs are exhaustive.
Thank you.
I was gonna just include, because I wasn't sure if we tracked other demographics besides the 2 that were noted in the slides. And so with your comment about hearing from the deaf and hard of hearing if we're gonna ask the questions regarding special needs of the staff too.
Well, this should be very interesting.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Having concluded our work session, next on our agenda, we will move to a closed session to discuss labor negotiation strategy as permitted by State Statute Section 13D.03. Is there a motion to close the meeting at this time to discuss labor negotiation strategy?
So moved.
Moved by Director Chester, seconded by Director Alt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion carries unanimously. The time is now 8:11, and we will now move to the HR conference room to discuss labor negotiation strategy.